So I work part-time at a daycare, right? And let me tell you, out of the year that I have been working at a daycare with children, one thing that I will say is that children are some of the most amazing creatures we have on this planet. And it really is up to us as the adults to protect these children, to teach these children good moral values, empathy, to be present with them, and to really encourage children to be who they are, and to, when we see strengths in children, it's really up to us as adults to pour into those strengths, to strengthen those strengths that they have so that they can feel confident and secure within themselves. One thing that I was thinking about earlier was children are some of the most amazing people to talk to. Why? Why? Because children are not pretending to be somebody that they are not. They're not saying things that people want to hear just to be liked, just to, seem cool or seem however. A lot of people, when people become adults, or not even just adults, like when they become teenagers, like they go through puberty, stuff like that, like around the time of like middle school on up, that's a lot of times when the whole pressure of society really gets to people. Because a lot of people, when they get older, like middle school, high school, college, and into in adulthood, just on up, a lot of these people, they want others to perceive them a certain way, view them a certain way. They want others to perceive them as the way that they perceive themselves. And a lot of times, how they perceive themselves is an illusion, it's not who they really are. Like a lot of these people are putting on performances. A lot of these people are just putting on this whole facade, trying to be something that they are not, just because they want to be perceived a certain way. Children do not care about how they are being perceived. They don't care if something is cool or not cool. They don't care, because children are just authentically themselves. And children have a lot more confidence at their young age than us as adults do. And this is very true, because I've even had this conversation with myself where I'm thinking, I was most confident when I was very young, when before I had went through puberty. Okay, and I'm a late bloomer, so I started going through puberty around like my first menses was at 13, and I really started going through puberty more so like around, it was like around 11. Okay, I mean, because with women's puberty, you start off by like starting to, men, I don't really care if you listen, but you need to know this because you're going to have daughters eventually. But when a girl starts developing breasts and she starts to bud, that's like the early stages of puberty beginning. But she really starts going through puberty once she has her first menses. Once she becomes a woman and she gets her period for the first time, that's when the puberty really, really kicks off, because she has more hormones being released into her body just immensely. She's once she gets her period, her body's never the same. Okay, so it's like before puberty, when we're very young and a lot of those hormones are not raging through our bodies and we are our most pure self, that's when children are the most confident. Okay, like I'm thinking my most confident self, I was like probably like around 9 years old. Okay, I love my inner child that's 9 years old, because she's amazing. She's wonderful. I love her so much because she inspires me by how confident she was and how she didn't care what other people thought about her. She stood up for herself. She had a backbone. She would clap back, like, you know what I'm saying? But all of the trauma and conditioning and everything that I went through over the years, I shrunk myself. I would silence myself. I wasn't as strong as I used to be. But then I remember myself at 9 years old and how strong and confident I was. And I'm like, I want to get back to her, but more improved, because she's an adult now. But anyway, I digress. Listen, I'm neurodivergent. I gotta reference myself to help understand this. However, children are some of the best people to talk to, because they are so real. They are so raw. They are so authentic. They are so transparent, and they are so unapologetic with how they feel and who they are. Children are very, very expressive. And when we allow children to be expressive, to be themselves, and we're not trying to shame them, like, when a child is very smart, a lot of times when they are around an emotionally immature adult, like a parent or guardian or whatever, or even sometimes if it's an older sibling, when they're emotionally immature, they get intimidated by how smart that child is. So they'll try to shame the child and tell them that the child is a know-it-all, or you're just a know-it-all. You just think you know everything. You think you just have all of the answers. You don't know everything. You're not that smart. All of this is bringing shame to the child because the adult is feeling shame that that child is more confident and more smart at their age than that adult was when they were that age. But imagine if it was reversed, it was flipped, and a child was very, very smart, very, very outspoken, very well spoken, and they've had the adults that are around them in their life encouraging them to continue to be confident, to continue to be smart, to continue to learn, to continue to advocate for themselves, to stand up for themselves, and continue to use their voice. But we also teach our children that you have your freedom of speech, you can speak, but you must remember that you must keep it respectful. You don't want to go out of your way to be disrespectful to someone that was not disrespectful to you first. However, if someone has disrespected you, you don't match it with respect. You match that with disrespect so that they know that they cannot try you. Because a lot of people in this world will think that if you respond to their disrespect with respect, they're going to think that they can just walk all over you. But the minute that you match their energy and you disrespect them back, that's when they leave you alone. It's like when kids are bullied and they finally stand up to the bully finally leaves them alone. So we have to teach children that it's okay for them to stand up for themselves. It's okay for them to defend themselves, that it's okay for them to speak up for themselves and advocate for themselves because it's necessary. It teaches them to be human. It teaches them to be grounded and secure in who they are. And it can prevent the child from going through a lot of trauma and to not become a people pleaser. Because I guarantee you, a lot of us empathetic children growing up, when we didn't have loving parents, we didn't have emotionally immature adults around us consistently, and all they did was shame us. As a child, we internalized that shame and shrunk ourselves. We dimmed our light, and we attracted a lot of people that wanted to continue to dim our light even more. However, when you have those children that have such a strong light about them, because adults can see when a child has a light within them, those children that are very, very smart, the children that are very empathetic, those children that are very mature for their age, and I'm not talking about like, oh, they've been through trauma. I mean, like, they have good parents, good loving parents, and the child is smart, the child is wise, the child has good morals because they have great, amazing, emotionally mature parents that are teaching them and leading by example. They have a good support system. When you see children like that, and we pour into those children, when we let them know that it's okay for them to be this way, these are their strengths, they need to continue to pour more into that, we are now helping that child to grow and expand to their fullest potential the way that they need to. And by them being grounded in who they are, they're going to get to, their teenage years, and they're going to be strong enough. They're not going to be dimming their light. They weren't getting used to dimming their light. They've gotten used to shining their light. So that way, when they go through those formative years or developmental years where a lot of potential trauma can happen, it's not to say, bullying and all of that stuff is inevitable, because people are going to do it, even to the people that have the most confident, strongest people. But when we teach children to shine their light, to continue to be that light that they are in their lives and in others' lives, it helps the child become who they were created to be. It helps the child to get so much further in life and to accomplish so many things in life, because now they're able to grow and expand from being who they truly are, instead of that child going through so much trauma and then them having to take a pause on their life because they're having to heal and recover from all of these years of trauma. Like, we can learn a lot from children if we as adults just humble ourselves. I said what I said.